Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on developing your IP and startups with corporate strategic alliances. Today, we are featuring Evonik. And as you know, this is a webinar series that specifically aims to broadcast the needs of the members of our corporate selection committee for the upcoming University Startups Demo Day in October. Before we begin, I'd like to let everyone know about the upcoming event. So it's going to be on October 16 and 17 in Washington, D.C., and early registration is now open. Just so you know, the Demo Day highlights three programs this year. First is the University Startups Demo Day, where the companies that get submitted to us are scored by the Corporate Selection Committee, and those with the highest scores are given presentation slots at the conference. We also arrange meetings for them with interested corporates and investors. The second highlight is what we call the IP to Startup program. This is a new program that we put together, and you can submit also through our process either IP patents or technologies that are part of the university portfolio. And the same as the demo day, they will be scored by the corporates and will be included in an IP book for distribution to the corporates that are attending the event on October. And last but not the least is the Investor Roadshow. We started a fund, which is the American Chinese University Growth Fund, which is in cooperation with several Chinese VCs that are interested in looking at university startups. So if there's anyone on the call who was part of the first or second demo day, you should have received an email from us letting you know that we are accepting applications for this roadshow. If you haven't received that email, but you were shortlisted or you presented in the last demo day, please get in touch with me, and I'll try to walk you guys through the process of getting selected for the roadshow. All right, so going forward, um, so the deadline for submission for the IP and the startups for the demo day is August 25th. So if you missed the first deadline, there still is a chance for you to submit. If you're a university and you're submitting IP, you can submit up to 10 pieces of IP. If you're, if you are a startup, or if you're a university with a startup portfolio, we do recommend that you submit, between 5 to 10 companies as well. Again, the deadline is August 25th, and for this round, we are accepting both startups and IP. More information about the demo day can be found, or you can find it at our website. Just a couple of reminders, then a couple two upcoming webinars. So this webinar series is continuing until mid-August. So on Monday we have M Ventures, or it's Merck Germany, speaking on Monday. Then Thursday and the Monday after that, we have two NSET2 members as well, Praxair and Ultratech, which are more in the material space also. Then aside from that, we will have a new webinar series, which is called the Certified Startup Development Officer. So if you are a university or a startup and you need help developing your IP or developing your companies, help them through development, come to this webinar on August 16. It's on Wednesday. You can register through our website at nset2.org/webinars. All right, so enough of that. I'd just like to let everyone know that our presentation today, we will have questions at the end. So all you need to do is go to the questions box of your GoToWebinar control panel and type in your questions there. We will try to get to as many questions as we can today. This session is being recorded, so if you have colleagues or that missed this webinar, the slides and video will be available 24 to 48 hours after the webinar concludes. You can find the videos and the recording on our webinar page and also on our YouTube channel. All right. So I'd like to introduce our speakers today. We have a couple of speakers from Evonik. Eric Breeze is the investment manager of Evonik Venture Capital, and he's been working with us the last couple of years as part of our corporate selection committee. So he's been reviewing companies for us for since the last two demo days. And also joining him today is George Mandarakis. He's the Scientific Relations Manager for Corporate Innovation at Evonik Corporation. We worked with George also for several years now when he was in BASF, and now he's in Evonik. And both Eric and George will be talking about what the um, what the needs are, like what technical needs, what are they looking for startups or IP, as well as how they partner with universities. So George and Eric plan to be at the October demo day. So if you'd like to meet up with them, come to the demo day so you could meet with them in person. So I'll turn it over now to them so they could start their presentation. So Eric, George, how are you?
We're great.
Good, thanks.
All right. So I'll make
Well,
you guys
thank
presenter now. Mhm.
Good. Get the mechanics out of the way of getting the presentation set up, and we'll be good to go. And I think we should be visible now, Ria. Can you confirm?
Yes, we can see
Okay,
your
great.
slides.
So first of all, we want to thank Ria and Tony from NSET2 to giving us this opportunity to talk a little bit about our activities, how we work with NSET2, and some of our interest areas. I'm Eric Breeze, and my colleague George is right alongside me. I'll kind of present the venture capital activities, and then George will give us some insight into the corporate innovation activities of our North American organization. Just like always, though, we're not a household name in Evonik, so we have to do a little bit of education for everybody of what our company is about. Then we'll talk about our venture capital activities, corporate innovation, and then this presentation will be available to you later. We have some slides at the end that really break down our chemical segments. I won't go through those step by step with you, but you'll have them available, and it'll help us when you see your opportunity or another opportunity. It helps align with what our businesses are interested in. So Evonik is a multinational specialty chemicals company. In 2016, roughly 12 billion, 13 billion euros in sales, 2.1 billion euros in EBITDA, 34,000 employees. During the course of 2016, we made a significant acquisition of Air Products Performance Materials and working on a acquisition with Huber Silicas currently. As a leader in specialty chemicals, we focus on many things. We wish to be a market leader, and we've had success doing that, being in leading positions with 80% of our businesses. We're really focused on customer intimacy and tailor-made solutions, which is another large part of our sales. We look at a value proposition with small volume and big impact for our customers. A lot of innovation power. We have roughly 500 R&D projects ongoing to drive our future sales. And we've been continuing to grow our volumes by more than 5% in our growth segments. Basically, Evonik's broken into three large business segments. Two are very much growth-oriented segments for us, and a third is efficiency-oriented. So our nutrition and care and resource efficiency business are more growth-oriented business. You'll see that the sales are pretty evenly split through the organization, but these two businesses in particular have better market opportunities for growth with new innovations and new ideas. In our efficiency area, these are areas where we tend to have businesses that require operational excellence. There's still significant innovation activities taking place. It's just really viewed as a business that needs to focus more on efficiency than trying to grow at 20% a year. To give a little bit of flavor on what's in these different areas, so we have a group called Resource Efficiency that includes our silicas business, crosslinkers, oil additives, and the list goes a little bit further. Our nutrition and care business includes things such as animal nutrition, baby care, which is a product predominantly of super absorbers, healthcare, which includes materials for pharmaceuticals and medical devices, personal care and household care, as well as a couple others. In our performance materials, we have businesses such as Performance Intermediates, which is focused on the C4 chemicals, plasticizers. We have a methacrylates business, I struggle saying, acrylic products, and other. All these businesses can be explored on our website to get a little more detail. But in the final slides, you'll see that there's a little bit of an indication of what the key products are and the key markets for each and every one of these business lines. So we have a growth strategy in Evonik that's based on three strong pillars. One is investment. So we're looking to continue to expand our global production footprint, strengthening our leading market positions. We have 7 world-scale production plants erected and currently in ramp-up. Innovation, we have a very strong innovation culture and are pushing this deeper and deeper into our organization. We have a market and customer-oriented R&D approach, very much product and process innovation. It's a big group that works in R&D. Some is centralized, some is decentralized, but roughly 2,700 employees are driving these efforts. And then we're also looking to grow through the external route of sharpening our portfolio, which means we're looking at acquisitions as part of the process of this growth. And this is proven most recently by the specialty additives business, Bare Products, and the Huber Silicates business. In the innovation area, the venture capital group is really considered part of one aspect of our open innovation platform to get new ideas that help foster growth for the organization. In our area, we're looking at what our core competencies are and how we can leverage those into attractive markets. So we've identified 3 large megatrends. I think many people have identified these trends, but we'll claim a copyright on it for today. Health and nutrition, resource efficiency, and globalization of population and technologies. And from these megatrends, we've developed 6 growth fields of corporate interest for us. Our interests are much wider than this. These are key corporate ideas for us to continue with. Things such as sustainable nutrition. How do we feed this growing world population effectively in an environmentally friendly way? Advanced food ingredients. How do we keep people healthy? How do we deliver better nutrition to not only the developing countries, but those in our developed world? Healthcare solutions. Obviously, we have some demographics that show we have an aging population in parts of the country and a growing population in other parts that require unique solutions to new healthcare problems that we're seeing. Cosmetic solutions. Not only do we want to live long, we want to look good while we're doing it. So we want to make sure that we have good solutions to help people with their personal care. Membranes technology, we see multiple applications for membranes that are very large and very important to various industries, from water to oil and gas to many other opportunities. And then there's smart materials, which I always joke is difficult to define. So I finally come up with something I can always use as an example. So we're looking at how the materials function, for instance, in a 3D printing environment. How can they be better? Deal with that. A second idea is what can we do in maybe a food packaging product that allows us to understand better what's happening to that as it sits on a shelf. So as we looked at these fields, we said we have some major competencies we believe we possess within our organization that we can bring to give solutions to these growth fields. One is our ability to design polymers. I think it's the heart of our business. Is polymers and our ability to design and modify those as necessary. Inorganic particle designs, interfacial technologies, coating and bonding technologies, catalytic processes and biotechnologies, all are very strong tools in the Evonik toolbox. So from here, I'd like to move more into our venture capital activities. As a corporate venture capitalist, we function a little bit differently than a private venture capitalist. But very much we have similar responsibilities. So Evonik Venture Capital is a strategic investor, which means when we invest in a portfolio company, we actively collaborate. We're looking for ways to leverage the strength of Evonik to help that startup succeed. Of course, there's a payback to us that we may learn a new technology, we may get new products into our portfolio. All sorts of opportunities come back to us from the startup as well, including good interface with the entrepreneurial environment and entrepreneurs. Sometimes big companies, we lose our entrepreneurial spirit a little bit here and there, and we get some cross-pollination back from the startups we deal with. This whole effort is to leverage the strengths to drive growth at portfolio companies, and we have strategic, technical, and commercial expertise that we feel can really benefit in addition to our financial investment. Yes, we're venture capitalists. Yes, we have a financial obligation to get good returns for our investments. I always like to mention, though, we're also a member of a community, and as a member of the venture capital community, our terms and conditions are very much in alignment with what's generally seen in the marketplace. We're not necessarily a precursor to M&A activities, although activities such as M&A could develop out of our activities. So what we feel we bring to a cooperation is technological experience and infrastructure to organizations that startups tend to be a little short on both of these. There's usually one or two good technical people, but we have a broad scope of those abilities. One of the key things we see, especially in our materials space, is this know-how of manufacturing processes and production scale-up. I can think over the few years I've been with our venture group, and even before that with the M&A activities I was doing with Evonik, that the challenge we see of great technologies going from a pilot scale to a commercial scale. And we have experience seeing what that is, and it's fun to see the wild-eyed entrepreneurs sitting there saying, yeah, we'll just go to 30,000 tons a year, and us having a feeling this is going to be a bigger challenge, and we feel we can help that. Because we are a global organization, we have market experience and global access. Our IP people are very, very strong. We always consider intellectual property strategies and rights when we're looking how we can support an investment in a portfolio company. And in some cases, the reputation and financial strength of an investor, such as Evonik, is very valuable. And I can give an example of an oil and gas activity we're looking at that fits into a refinery process. And this startup says, what we need to do is we need to attach into this refinery. And the refinery looks at them and says, well, what if you screw up my refinery for a day? You're a startup. How are you going to fix that? The hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost production for that day. This is where the advantage of having a large multinational behind you can be somewhat beneficial to the startups as well. I just kind of out of sequence a little bit, but I did want to talk about some of the involvement we've had with NSET2 since I've been with the venture group particularly. And I wanted to talk about some of the things that they've done for us that I think are excellent. Over the last year and a half, and since the initiation of the demo days, we've seen a significant number of early stage opportunities. And some are good for us, and some are bad for us, and some are too early, and some are really interesting. But NSET2 has provided a marketplace almost for us to view these opportunities, which is outstanding. It's organized in an efficient way for us to look at these companies before we get to a demo day. And the quality of the startups for our deal flow has been quite high. It also helps us be in front of the university startup ecosystem a bit more than just our corporate innovation activities do as well. We're talking now to these startup officers that are starting to see, hey, wait, these guys are looking to invest as well. How we participated, we sat on the corporate selection committee. So looking at companies would make the short list for the demo days. And I must say, as we grade those companies, it's not uncommon that a company wouldn't make the demo day, but we would still have a very high interest in continuing a conversation with them, which leads to the direct interaction with the startups. And Rhea and I were speaking earlier today. Right now, I know of 4 companies most recently that I want to get back in touch with. And I think within our current activities, we have at least one that has significantly progressed in our deal flow towards a potential transaction. So what this has paid off for us is quite a bit. We get to see not only interesting technologies, but interesting companies. It's helped our deal flow. We get to see a lot of companies generally, but these are good early stage ideas, usually very technically sound. And we're developing or have developed a number of relationships with the companies, but not just the companies. I'll say the university representatives, and then also the other people in our ecosystem. As a venture capitalist, we're always looking for co-investors. So when we're at the demo day, we're also networking with our peers to identify where we might be able to invest in future opportunities together. So this gives a little bit more clarity on some of the buzzwords or areas of interest for Evonik, and I will read through these relatively quickly since, and probably skip a few, but given the fact that you'll have the presentation, I just want to highlight some of these. So as we look at our 3 different businesses, we'll start with nutrition and care. So we're always looking at feed additives and services for animal nutrition. We're a very large player in this space currently. We're always looking for better ways and more ways to serve our customers. Active pharma ingredients and drug delivery systems for oral and parenteral dosage, tailor-made pharmaceutical synthesis, pharma amino acids, active emulsifiers, conditioners for personal care, superabsorbents for baby care, et cetera, et cetera. So it gives a little bit of a flavor of the broad aspect. As mentioned, that Evonik's portfolio is roughly 4,500 different products. So usually we can find somewhere of interest to land an idea. If you look at our resource efficiency business, we look at lubricant additives as an important area, fuel additives, eco-friendly and solid industrial coatings, cross-linkers, functional resins, hot sealants, silicas, used for high-performance polyamide 12 and polyether ketone are all very interesting areas for us. And membrane shows up here once again. So that was on one of our giant global search fields. So I think it's a pretty clear indication we're committed to that. And in our performance materials, as I mentioned, that's not a growth business for us. So we're far more opportunistic in finding opportunities to take advantage of for them. So we're looking for plastics ideas, styrene butadiene rubber, high performance polymers, LED touchscreen technologies, lightweight systems, additives, brighteners, agrochemicals, methyl methacrylate and application monomers, and methacrylic acid. This is just a few of the areas that we can list that are of interest, but I think it gives a nice overview, and this is highly representative of most of the business lines we have within Evonik. So everyone likes to know a little bit about our fund. In 2012, we started a venture capital fund within Evonik Industries out of Germany, and our board was listened to the idea and came up with the approval for us to have an investment volume of 100 million euros. I must say this was a very interesting discussion prior to the startup of the venture activities, as I was sitting on some of the panels that were asked questions. And I think everyone recognized there could be significant value to Evonik's innovation culture if we added this as one of our open innovation activities. So to date, and our goal is to be direct investment in 15 to 20 startup companies, and then we participate in specialized venture capital firms. And I'll highlight some of these as we go through. We have a global investment strategy with focus on Europe and North America and Asia. To date, most of our direct investments have taken place, or all have been in Europe or North America. We've invested in funds that give us exposure to China and Asia. And that's a strategy we're following today. It may change in the future. But what do we ask for our investment? What's a typical investment for us? We want to be a minority shareholder. We can lead rounds, but it's not our ideal situation. We'd like to participate. We would invest up to 5 million euros per company. I say this, that we consider good opportunities that are less, but bigger opportunities would be more challenging. However, we would definitely look at it. What we do is we always make our initial investment, and we look to make sure that we're able to participate in future funding rounds. If we thought it was a good idea to begin with, we want to be able to maintain our ownership over the future. So we try to look at the long-term haul of this. As I said before, we are a strategic investor. So for us, beyond the financial returns, the most important thing we have to do is develop a strategic fit with the Evonik organization. And I would say that probably takes up most of our efforts. Last year, our venture capital team saw over 500 deals that were relevant to Evonik. We made 2 direct investments out of that. Now, we could have probably done 3 or 4. Timing-wise, things don't always fall in place. But the point is it gets very selective. So we're looking for these ideas that help leverage our skills and strengths with the skills and strengths of the startup. There's so many good ideas we see that we can't be involved in, but in those cases, we always keep an eye on it in the space. So what you see in 2012, we made 3 initial investments into 3 different funds. Pangea and Emerald are materials funds. Pangea is based in Canada, Emerald out of Switzerland, and we invested in the High-Tech Gründer Fund, which is a fund based in Germany. This gave us some great vision on the market. It allowed us to get some visibility as a venture capital group, as we were new to being venture capital. Then you'll see all of a sudden we built a little momentum as it related to our investments. So 2013, we made our first investment in FRX Polymers. 2014, 3 direct investments. 2015, 4 direct in a fund, and 2016, 2 direct in a fund. Just to give some flavor on the investments, so if we look at FRX Polymers, this was a flame retardant technology, quite interesting to us. We move into NanoComp, which was a Finnish company that's in display screen technologies. 2015, we made an investment in Weave, which I call our furthest from home investment because it's a business to consumer model. And what Weave does is you use a smartphone application that they have created, and you take a number of snapshots of your feet. You'll submit those to their website, and they will custom design and 3D print an insert for your shoe for you. And this is interesting us for a lot of different ways. This gives us great market insight on how the 3D printing devices are working with different materials. Our materials are used in this process and will continue to be used in this process. So we're gaining quite a bit of insight about how this space is developing from this investment. Then we have a number of investments that are med tech or health related. So Yenacell, Sanosta, and Vivasure all are in the health space. Yenacell is a scaffolding for delivering wound care or cosmetic devices. Sanosta is another Finnish company. Yenacell is in Germany. Sanosta is another Finnish company that does limb lengthening, which looks like a very barbaric surgery for me, but it needs to be done for certain people, and this technology improves drastically over what was done in the past. And Vivasure, which is an investment in Ireland that does femoral arterial closure devices for surgeries that are heart valve replacements or aortic aneurysm repairs. Then we have back to some more material-based. Airborne Oil and Gas is a deep-sea composite pipe company, and IESTA is an oil additive business. The 2 funds in 2015 and 16, the Sino Green Fund and Hosen Capital, were both funds with focus on Asia, predominantly China. GRC is a little more materials-based, and Hosen has a little greater focus on agricultural and nutrition topics for us. As you can see, we're very broad in what we're willing to invest in to support our businesses. I can say we have a lot of exciting opportunities in our pipeline, and we're really excited to keep growing more opportunities into that pipeline. So the NSET relationship has helped us quite a bit there. So this is what we're looking for. Our direct investments in startup leverage our external innovation and growth. It gives us preferential access to startups, technology, and resources, insight into the company's market and technology. It helps foster entrepreneurial behavior in Evonik, and it gives us access to collaboration partners and M&A opportunities. But we are venture capitalists, so we're thinking about exits all the time as well. So that's why I earlier said that M&A may be one of the options. However, we're looking at the best way to get a return on this investment as well. Geographically, you could see, as I said earlier, all of our direct investments have been in North America and Western Europe to this point. Our fund investments play a critical role for us. It allows us to do some geographic expansion since we weren't known in Asia, we weren't known in North America when we started the fund. It also gives us insight into new technology fields. It gives us some partners to talk through these companies. So as they review companies, they share with us. As we review companies, we share with them. And we have opportunities to co-invest with them if the fund decides it wants to invest. But it's really nice for us to have an additional person to talk to. They have regional access to disruptive technologies, and they may have portfolio companies that we might want to acquire, even though we've not invested to date. And we vet these funds fairly closely. We want to make sure that they have a proven track record, and also that they have strategic value and a risk-adjusted rate of return that's acceptable to us. And you'll see we have a much greater geographic dispersion of our fund investments than we had in the direct investments. Just two quick comments. You see South America is neglected and Africa is neglected, and I don't think that we intentionally neglect those spaces. I think what happens is the ecosystems aren't as developed, and it would take a very unique opportunity for us to be able to go, just due to the regulatory environments or the way that the venture capital world works in those spaces. However, I'm sure with the right opportunity, we would come up with a plan. Our team, with these beautiful mugshots, you can see most of our colleagues are sitting in Germany. Bernhard Mohr is our managing director. We built our team with a combination of internal and external resources. So we have a number of people that have a long history with the company, that have deep contacts and understand our technologies really well. And we brought in some people, especially early on from the outside, that had more experience in the venture world that could help support our learning process as we started doing more and more deals. There's three of us located here in North America, in our Parsippany, New Jersey offices. Myself, Kevin Norman, and Rich Stober all are here and available to vet great opportunities. It's not uncommon that our German colleagues find a North American deal, and it's not uncommon that the North American colleagues find a European deal. So we don't have any hard lines of separation amongst us. I hope that gives you a nice overview to our venture activities. I'd like to pass the conversation over to my colleague, George, and he will walk us through the corporate innovation North American view of the world.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. So I'm going to give you a flavor for the corporate innovation organization in North America. We're definitely another component to open innovation for Evonik. Venture capital is obviously a predominant component for startups and SMEs, but we do a lot with universities and federal agencies that you might not be aware of. So this is just an organizational overview. We have three key components or functions within our organization. I manage science relations, so I'm responsible for building and also nurturing these relations throughout North America with universities, federal agencies, and small businesses. We have a technology scouting function, which is to identify new technologies, novel IP, and then to incubate them into a strategic innovation pipeline, and also an open innovation function that handles a lot of our solicitations externally, like MindSumo and other organizations where we have call to action, as well as managing tools within our group to help make our activities more feasible. We report to a chief innovation officer in Germany, as well as a regional president in North America. I think it's very important to have this hierarchy and buy-in from the top down. It really helps make our activities more successful. So speaking of our activities, this is our mission as an organization. Some of this I touched on already, to continuously monitor innovation landscape. So a lot of that's having to do with foresight within North America, actively seeking external technologies, building relations with the right ecosystems, with the right partners, promoting a culture of innovation, both internally and externally. So we want to brand Evonik innovatively to these groups that we meet externally, but we also want to demonstrate our success stories internally and have colleagues really understand our mission to become the most innovative company. Also, we pursue strategic R&D activities in targeted areas, as well as doing intellectual property assessments that we work on in conjunction with the businesses. And of course, Evonik, or Eric already touched upon the corporate venturing piece. So from a partner perspective, predominantly focused on these three buckets, so universities, research institutes, startups, SMEs. The supplier and chemical company bucket, you might not be aware, but we're also open to working with these types of folks. We certainly would entertain projects with other corporate open innovation groups, especially if they have a long-term horizon on them, as well as suppliers. So any suppliers with novel types of materials that we could put in our products would be within scope as well. The technology readiness level for any of these buckets, very early to late. So we really don't write much off based upon the technology readiness level of a specific technology. This is a map that really shows our interactions with universities. So the universities listed here, we don't necessarily have active projects with, but we've engaged them in the past on certain activities, either through technology transfer or through faculty directly sponsored research. Just gives you an overview of kind of where we keep our eye out on. And also, this is an interesting key we have here that shows you where our sites are located in North America. I think another benefit besides sourcing new technologies is really to source new talent. And it's a key component for Evonik strategy, and having the benefit of these sites that are pretty close to these institutes really bodes well with recruitment. Just want to mention also the University of Minnesota is our strategic partner within North America. So our activities with Minnesota are more advanced than some of the other universities up here. So how we operate, this is a very crude depiction of where we sit between kind of the middleman between these external groups and Evonik businesses. But essentially, we're approached by a university or a federal agency or startup with a new technology, and our group would evaluate this technology. We have a pretty thorough vetting and triage process where everyone on our team participates in the evaluation of that opportunity and who within our businesses would be the appropriate individuals to reach out to. And from there, after making that assessment, we would essentially pass that on to the right business, follow up and manage interactions between that business and that external entity. One of the things that's off about this, and you might pick up on it, is the arrows are going directionally from left to right. This is not always the case with us. So a lot of times we have businesses that come directly to us with a particular need. They might have a gap and need a specific solution for something. So they would approach us directly, and we would actually go out and find the right technology from our partners and contacts within the North America. So keep that in mind. It works both ways, solicited and unsolicited. Really important slide, the take-home message here is we're really looking up and down the value chain. A lot of times when you think of open innovation, you think purely maybe one-dimensional. You're looking to expand a product portfolio or maybe get access to a new manufacturing process. But we're looking at things all the way up the supply chain. We want to make sure we get our hands on technologies that we could essentially incorporate in some of as raw materials in some of our products. Eric mentioned before his investment in Weave and how that's kind of a non-traditional B2C opportunity. We're the same way. We'll focus on customers as well. So there are times we encounter a company that is small, but they're using our product in a novel application, and we see a lot of growth potential there. And we want to make sure they continue to use Evonik's product. So we're open to those cases too. So maybe you're a customer of ours or a supplier potential, but still keep that in mind as an opportunity to work with us. So making an impact. So Eric showed you a portfolio of investments, and a lot of those investments have clear ROI, and it's easy to quantitatively measure the outcomes. Corporate innovation is a little different. We have a variety of offerings, a variety of types of successes and what we can offer. And a lot of these we don't kind of publicize externally. It's more of a kind of an internal thing, but just wanted to give you kind of a flavor for some of the things we've been involved with, from licensing agreements with startup on a personal care active to helping our oil additives business evaluate material for new applications in gear oil, to working on a joint development agreement with an external company for a recyclable PET process. And one other key area, which I included a little excerpt from a publication, is this acquisition of Transfera that happened last year. So Transfera is a liposome company based in Vancouver, and this was an opportunity that actually came through the corporate innovation group. We had brought this to the attention of the healthcare business, and a few years later, it results in a great acquisition for us. So M&A is certainly not our focus, but we certainly don't kind of write that off as an opportunity. So if you come to us, if you're a small, medium-sized business, and we see that as a potential option, we will certainly explore that for you. So with that, that kind of concludes my piece, and I'll hand it back over to Eric.
Great. Thanks, George. I said there was a number of slides at the end that give us some overviews of what the key products are in our different business lines. One thing that I can say to kind of the general community, I said we're looking for strategic fit before we do an investment, and it's always helpful if the startup can help me identify that strategic fit if we didn't identify it first. And that's where the startup really has the advantage of looking at our website and seeing some of the things we do. We're looking at these slides and say, okay, I see how I fit in this ecosystem. And then it's my job within Evonik, if you don't have contact with them, to get through to the different parts of the organization to see if we do have a strategic fit. As I said, as a strategic investor, we're always looking to have an additional agreement if we can, whether it's a commercial agreement, like a joint development agreement, or a marketing agreement, or some additional benefit beyond just some cash that we've provided the company. And one last point I'd like to make before we go to questions is, in the last demo day, we did the panel presentation, and someone asked about how they find our technical people. I mean, it's the World Wide Web is the best place other than conferences. And then I would say, if you're a startup or you have an innovative idea that you've been growing, you find our technical people, remind them that they have a venture capital group if you're looking for funding, because organizations are big and expansive, and they may know we have venture capital, but it may not be in their mindset. And it sure is a lot easier for me to deal with a company that has contact with our technical people in advance, already has a relationship, than me to kind of redevelop that. So I guess at this point, Rhea, there's a number of slides just like this. I just wanted to bring this one up. We'd be open to answer whatever questions that there may be.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you, Eric. Thank you, George. That was a very comprehensive and informative presentation. We do have some questions lined up already, so I'll just go through them really quickly. We have about 15 minutes to go through the questions. I think we have about let me see, 8 lined up. So let's start now. Let me just make myself presenter so we could start off our Q&A. And again, for people listening in the audience, I just want to remind everyone that if any of the information, like the technology areas, if any of them fit, companies and startups that or IP that you have, submit them to the demo day, and that way Eric and maybe even George can take a look at your company and your IP, and do some scoring. So, all right. So our first question it's for Eric. How many startups do you fund annually?
So the general statistics, and I think it's pretty similar. We see about 500 relevant deals. we expect we would do 3 to 5 investments in a typical annual period.
Okay, our next question is, do you also do sponsored research for startups? Or do you do sponsored research at all? Maybe that's another question that we can throw in there.
Well, so that's one of the advantages of either getting in contact with George and I with the ideas. We can oftentimes take these ideas into our core organization. If they find it's interesting, they may come up with an idea for a joint development agreement. I can't specifically say we do or don't, but I've been involved in a number of conversations that were heading in that direction.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I mean, we do sponsored research at universities, obviously. From a startup perspective, I want to note that open to working with you on SBIR related activities as well. So funding aside, if you're going for a grant, if you see strategic alignment with the client, we'd be happy to entertain what your proposal is and helping you potentially as a partner. So keep that in mind as well.
Okay. With that, I'll just throw in this question already because it's related. So, do you provide support letters for grant applications submitted by universities or university startups, such as the SBIR or other grant schemes?
Yeah, Ria. Yeah, we do that, and that's something that's handled through my organization, the Corporate Innovation Group.
Okay, perfect. Our next question is, do you look at IP or technologies, or are you limited to engaging only startups? Maybe
I
this
think
is
we get
for
2 different answers here. Yeah. So for me on the venture side, I want to hear about it if my corporate innovation colleagues have it, because I want to make the introduction to them. But from our venture side, we're really looking and engaging with startups. We typically would look ideally at a Series A or B funding. Seed is a little difficult for us at times, but maybe George can better answer this from our innovation side.
Yeah, this is certainly of interest to us. We look at a lot of intellectual property from both startups and universities. So we go a lot on tech transfer sites, monitor with new alerts coming in of different patents. Startups the same way. We want to know kind of what you have, how robust the intellectual property is. And if we get to that point, we might do an evaluation of that landscape within that area. So it's something that is definitely of interest to the corporate innovation side.
All right. Our next question is, do you involve the startup founders or inventors if you're interested in a startup or technology?
Boy, from the venture side, we're relying on those people. So, it's their business and we're just one of their partners. I think that's the best way to say it is our goal isn't to take the business away from them. Our goal is to help fill some of the gaps that they would have. That's from the venture side. And again, I'd ask George to comment if he felt any differently.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to pretty much agree with Eric. I mean, it depends on the situation also for us.
I think one of the things about a corporate venture group is a big company. We know that if we just bought these little companies, the founders probably may or may not, but most likely wouldn't be interested working for us anyway, because they were very entrepreneurial and wanted to build this company. So that's why the venture path is good for us. We get to keep engaged with those founders. Now, during the course of the relationship, sometimes the founder shouldn't be the CEO at a certain point. Maybe they should be the chief technology officer. And if the situation fits, or maybe they're the best CEO we could find, we always look at those during the course of the relationship, what's in the best interest of the business. But we certainly love to have the founders. It's their idea.
Okay, and we have our last question this afternoon. This is interesting. How can universities improve their programs so that the startups and technologies they produce are more aligned to industry needs?
My first comment is going to be keep being involved with.
I was just going to say that.
It's been a great venue, in my opinion, for us to give feedback to the. So I honestly believe that Ria, you know the numbers of how many we've seen in the last year. that we would have only seen 5 to 10% of those if it hadn't been for NSET 2. And because of that, we've been able to provide some feedback. And then at the demo day, at the last demo day, it was 20 presentations we had?
40.
40, yeah. Do you know how infrequent that those you can get 40 people in front of you in the course of a daily class? So I think it's important to go to those types of events, and especially me involved in MSET too, and listen and think about what we're saying, as well as one other thing at universities, and this goes back to my history with the company, is for our industry isn't IT, our industry isn't pharmaceuticals, and what's happened is sometimes dealing with the tech transfer offices on intellectual property, the scheme that's been presented from the organization for the university is a little richer than their business model can afford. And I would just say, just recognize the target audience, that this may be a great new technology to produce a chemical on a large scale, but our industry doesn't have those incredible margins that allow for super high royalty payments. So I would just say, just understand the audience, and they have to be adaptable to that type of audience. And this is advice I've given to entrepreneurs as well. And that's why I said earlier, look at our company before you talk to us a little bit, and help us help you to get you. But I think NSET 2 is a great way for these programs to get improved and get the feedback from corporates, not only from the venture side, but just as importantly from our innovation teams.
Okay, so thank you very much. That's all the time we have this afternoon for the questions. And George, Eric, thank you very much again for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate the partnership or the relationship we've had with Evonik over the years, and for taking the time to do this webinar.
Thanks for having us, Ria.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks to everyone that listened in. And you had our pictures on here, so look for us at the demo day, and pin us down in a corner. And
not that guy.
Not that guy. Don't talk to him.
Yeah, he's speaking on Monday, by the way. So everyone on the call, the upcoming webinar, the next webinar is with M Ventures. So it's the venture capital arm of Merck in Germany. So speaking in that webinar will be Sven. This is his photo. And as you can tell, yeah, we've been working with each other for a while now. And so we hope that you can join us on Monday, to know more about what M Ventures is looking for. So mostly they also look at materials. They look at they look at like pharma and med as well. So hopefully you guys can join us. And again, thank you very much to Eric and George for their time today. The recording of this webinar will be available 24 to 48 hours. So again, thank you and good afternoon.
Thanks. Bye now.